So we will talk about P1, P2, and P3 today. That is your homework due tonight. And after that, we will go through some questions or some notes with P4, P5, and P6, which will be your homework for next Wednesday. I just want to point out to you guys that you will have your midterm, your test is next Thursday. So your midterm is next Thursday. So not tomorrow, but the next week, the following week. So which is the 28th, January 28th. So just want to point out to you guys that you do have your midterm on next Thursday, January 28th. And it will cover chapter P1 till P6, okay? So your test, your midterm test is next Thursday, the 28th, cover P1 to P6. Today we go over P1, P2, P3 because that is your homework due tonight. And then P4, P5, P6 is due next Wednesday. So if you have any questions, please let me know. So P1, number 29, that's one senior asked me. Mohammed, if you have any questions regarding with your homework, just let me know also. Okay. And don't be shy. So you asked me where do I post the video for the YouTube. This, if you see the Zoom meeting and the date, this is the Zoom meeting that I posted. This is last week's Zoom meeting. So this is the link that you will see. So some of you figure out where can I see the video? It's right over here. Okay. So let's take a look at P1 number 29, which is this question. This question is asking us to perform the operation. So it's 4x. And again, you guys have questions, you have to let me know. Over 3 divided by 6/7. So in order for us to do a division with a fraction, you can change this division to multiplication, but you have to flip-flop this fraction, and the fraction has to be on the second fraction. So you cannot flip-flop the first section and the first fraction. So the fraction for the first one is still 4x/3. But this will become 7/6. And then how you multiply fractions, you multiply them straight across. But before we multiply them straight across, you can reduce because it's easier to reduce here. Then you multiply straight across and reduce. So we reduce the 4 and the 6 can be reduced because it can be reduced by 2. So you get 2 and 3. 7 cannot reduce with 3, 7 cannot reduce with 3, 2 cannot reduce with 3. So this is how we reduce a fraction. Now we will multiply them straight across. So 2x times 7, you will get 14x. And then 3 times 3, you get 9. So this question number 29 here, your answer is 14x/9. Sinu, you okay?
Yep. Thank you.
Anyone have any P1? Anyone have P1 questions? Mohammed, Philip, P1. You guys are good? Then we talk about P2. Anyone have any questions on P2? This is a bit difficult here, which is exponents and square root.
For P2, I got confused on 12, 21, and 23.
Yep, 12. Let me write it down first. 12, 21, and 23. Okay, good. Again, you guys can ask any questions you want. So make sure you don't just let Sinu ask, but if you don't have questions, then yeah, Sinu, I will definitely do all the questions you have. Okay, this is trend 12A. So when you divide fractions, your exponents will be subtract. Okay, so when you divide this fraction, the base is the same. So what we do with the exponents is we minus them. And when you minus it, you always take the top one minus the bottom one. Okay, so when you do a division with fractions, your exponents will be subtracted. So if you subtract 7 and 8, 7 minus 8, you get -1. So what you have in this case is you will have 2. The 2 is still there. This will be reduced or simplified to become x to the power of -1. And this -1 is due to the subtraction of that. And you cannot leave your answer in a negative exponents form. The reason why is because you want to keep all your exponents positive. So there is a rule says that if you have a negative exponents, you make it over it. So unfortunately, this x minus 1 is the one that is affected by the -1. So this 2 is remain on the top. So this x minus 1 will goes down. So the answer for 12a in this case is 2 over x. Questions with 12a? Anyone have questions with 12a? All right, 12b is asking the same thing. So you got 24 x plus y squared over by 18 x plus y. So what we do in this is the same thing. We are reduced. So this fraction, the number part, can be reduced with your you can reduce by a number. So you can reduce this fraction. So this is actually can be reduced by, I think, 6. Okay, so 24 can be reduced by 6 and 18 can be reduced by 6. So 24 reduced by 6, you get 4. 18 reduced by 6, you get 3. So this 2 can be reduced by 6. And then the next one that we can reduce is this 2 because they are the same base, x plus y. This is a power 2 and this is a power 1. So same thing as like question 12a because they are the same base. So what happens to your exponents is you have to subtract it. So when you have 2 minus 1, this is actually is 1. So what you have in this case is x plus y to the power of 1. And again, this one you are optional, so you can ignore it. And last time this is a negative, we chuck it into the bottom, but this one is a positive one, so it remains over here. So this is how we do, this is your answer for question 12b. You do not need to distribute your 4 inside. So your answer in this case will be 4x plus y over by 3. Questions for question 12? All right, next we have is question number 21. So for question number 21, let me see. Yep, simplify this. So this is all very important. So if you, that's why very, very important. Okay. So how do you simplify the cube root of 625 x4? Okay. Now, in order for us to simplify a radical, this is called radical, which is a root form, you have to break them down to become a perfect square or a perfect cube. So you figure out a factor for it. So this is a cube root, so you have to do a perfect cube, the factor of perfect cube. What is a perfect cube? Perfect cube is a number multiplied by itself, like 1 times 1 times 1, you get 1. So this is a perfect cube. 2 times 2 times 2 is 8. 3 times 3 times 3 is 27. 4 times 4 times 4 is 64. 5 times 5 times 5 is 125. And then 6 times 6 times 6, that one I need a calculator. So 6 to the power of 3, so the power symbol, 216. And then let's do one more because this is 625. So we'll do one more. 7 to the power of 3 is 343. And this keep on going. So this is what we call as a perfect cube. So what you guys need to do with question 12a here is you have to break 625 into one that goes into one of these numbers. So we don't count one because one definitely can go to 625. So so what you need to do is you have to take 625 and you have to divide with all these numbers. This is how you figure out this kind of questions. And if you got decimals, means this is not a good one we use. Okay, so you have to keep on doing this. So that one doesn't work. 625 divided by 64. That's the reason why you need a calculator for my class. 625 divided by 125. Okay, this one works. So eventually one of these number will work. So in this case, 125 works. So so what you do here is this 625 will become 125 times 5. Because 125 times 5 is 625. And 125, I'm going to box it out. The reason why I box this out because it is a perfect cube of 5. Because 5 times 5 times 5 is a 125. So that is just for the number piece. Now we will do for the variable piece. So in order for us to have a variable that is perfect cube, you multiply the variable by itself. So x times x times x, you get x cubed. X squared times x squared times x squared. And you guys learn this in this section. If they are multiplying these exponents, you add them. So you will get x6. Because 2 plus 2 plus 2 is 6. And then x cubed times x cubed times x cubed. So you add them. 3 plus 3 plus 3, this is 9. So what happens is you find out that this pattern of perfect cube for the variable x, they all are multiples of 3. So it's 3, 6, 9, 12, 15, and so on. So they all has the power is all multiplied by 3. So what you do with the x4 here, we know x4 is not a perfect cube because power 4 it has to be multiples of 3. So you have to break this x4 down. So what you do is you pick the highest power that is smaller than 4. So that will be x cubed. That is the highest power that's smaller than 4. Let's say if this is x10 instead of x4, then the number that you pick will be x9 because that is the smallest power than 10, the one that's closest to 10 but is smaller than it. So that will be 9 in this case. Okay, so for those students who doesn't know how you do this, this is how we do. So what you do in this case is this x4, x to the power 4 will become x to the power of 3 times x to the power of 1 because 3 plus 1 gives us the power of 4. So if this is an x5, then we will do 3 and 2 because 3 plus 2 will give us a power of 5. Again, I'm going to box this x3 up because this is a perfect cube of x. So what is your final answer? Your final answer in this case is 5x because these two are perfect cube. And then what is still remain inside your cube root, which is 5x also, is your final answer. So the 5 and the x that you see that the circle or box it, that will belongs inside the cube root. The 5x that is I box it, they are perfect cube, so that I put it outside. So your answer for question 21a in this case will be 5x. Now, how do you put a cube root in here is you don't use this because this is a square root. So you go under function and you see this two blanks here. So that is what you do is you put that and then you put 3 and a 5x. So this is how we do a cube root in your homework here. You guys all right? You guys doing all right there?
Yep.
Yep.
Don't forget, these are the questions I ask you in the test next Thursday. So make sure you guys understand how to do this. For question B, so this is this is again a negative exponents like what we have over here. So remember, when you have a negative exponents, chuck it in the bottom. Same thing over here, because this has is a negative exponents. So, and this -4 only affected the y variable. So we will chuck it in the bottom. So the 12x squared is still on top. So the 12x squared is still on top. And then the y4 will be the one that goes to the bottom. Now, for question B, we are not using these numbers. The reason why we don't use this number is because this is for cube root, perfect cube. So for this case, because this is a square root, we will do a perfect square. So perfect square means a number multiplied by itself, like 1. 2 times 2 is 4. 3 times 3 is 9. 4 times 4 is 16. 5 times 5 is 25, and so on. So this is what we will use when you see a when you see a square root. And then we do the same thing like what we did 21a. We have to break every single pieces down. So first thing we break down is the number 12. So can someone tell me which one of these numbers can goes into 12?
4.
4, okay. So we don't use 2 and 6 because 2 and 6 is not a perfect square. So that's why we use 4. 4 times what is 12?
3.
4 times 3. Okay. And I'm going to box this 4 like what I did last time. The reason why I box this 4 is because this 4 is a perfect square of 2. Okay, like what I pull it out and become 2. Now we're talking about variables. So if you remember, last time we multiplied the numbers the variable by itself. So x times x, you will get x squared. X squared times x squared, again you add them, become x4, 2 plus 2. And then x cubed times x cubed, again add them, you get 3 plus 3, which is 6. So what do you notice about the perfect square is for the variable piece, your power is multiples of 2. They are even power, like 2, 4, 6, and then the next one will be power 8, and then the next one is power 10, and so on. So next, so this is the perfect square in this case. So what we do here is we will be looking at x squared here. Now the good thing about x squared is because x squared is a perfect square, so you do not need to break it down. Okay, so x squared is a perfect square of x, so you do not need to break it down. Same thing with y4. Okay, same thing with y4. The reason why y4 is a perfect square is because it is divisible by 2. They are even. And y4 in this case is y squared. So can someone tell me what will be your answer in this case? What is outside the square root? And what is still inside the square root? By looking at what I pull out here. So 4 will be pulled out, become 2. So this will be outside. What else is outside?
The x.
The x, and also what?
Y square.
Y square in the bottom, right? So these are all in the outside. So which one is still inside the square root?
The 3.
The 3. And is this 3 on the top or on the bottom?
The top.
The top. So we will put it back on the top. If the 3 is in the bottom, we'll put it in the denominator. So your answer for question B is 2x square root of 3 over y squared. You guys all right here? 2x square root of 3, and then you make a fraction over y squared. So this is how you do question number 21. So I'm going over P2 right now. So if you guys have any questions, please, ask me. Then I will, then I will do it together with you guys.
I have a
Next will be 23. I'm
P1.
sorry, Philip.
I have a question in P1 actually.
Okay, once I finish this, we'll go back to P1.
Okay.
Okay. Is everyone doing okay here?
Yep.
This is tough. I didn't say this is tough. So on question 23, sorry, not 22, 23. So in order for you to add and subtract square radical roots, you have to make them like radical. Okay. So what is the meaning when I say to make them like radical? Means that you want to make them the same, both of these having the same cube root or square root. For example, is if you have square root of 2x and square root of 2x, this is what we call as like radicand. So if you add this, what you do is you just add the number. So don't forget this has a 1 in front. This also has a 1 in front. It's like a variable. So 1 plus 1 is 2. And then you still have your square root of 2x. So you can only add and subtract square roots or square root or cube root if they're having the same power, or both of these are cube root like this, then you can add them. And then your radicand, which is the one inside the square root, has to be same, then you can add it. But if you look at question 23a, you find out that they are cube root, which is good, but inside here, they are not the same. So you cannot simply add. So I got students, what they do here is they add, oh yeah, this is 3 plus 1 is 4. And then they add the cube root. 54 plus 16, that will be 70x cubed. So I got students who add this. They add the numbers out like this, like adding fraction, adding same like terms. This is 0 in your test. This is all totally wrong. Okay, so don't do this in your test. So what you do here is we will break it down again like what we did last time. So so 54, don't forget this is a cube root. So you do need to reverse back your cube root number, which is 1 times 1 times 1, 8, 2 times 2 times 2, 27, 3 times 3 times 3, 64, and so on. So these are all perfect square. So can someone tell me which number here goes with 54? Which of these, beside 1, we don't count 1.
27.
27, yes. 27 goes into 54 how many times?
2 times.
2 times, yep. And 27, I circle it or I box it because it is a perfect cube of what? It's a perfect cube of 1, 2, and 27 is a perfect cube of 3. Okay. The good news is don't forget the variables. The variables is all multiples of 3. So it's 3, 6, 9, x to the 9, x to the 12. They're all multiples of 3. The good news is that this is also a perfect cube. Because x cubed, this is the power of 3. So it's a perfect cube of x. So can someone tell me what is outside this square cube root? We got 3. We got x. And we also have another 3 that is outside here. So what you're going to do with these 3s, the 2 3s that we have outside here? Should we add them? Should we multiply them? Should we subtract? Should we divide? What do we do with these 2 3s that we have?
Multiply it.
Multiply, yes. You always multiply this. So if you have take out a lot more stuff, then you keep they all multiply. So what you have in this case is 9x. And what is still remain inside the cube root?
2.
2. So this is how we break it down like what we did on the previous question. Same thing happens here. The good news is 16. So can someone tell me how we break 16 down using this perfect cube? So which one of this number goes into 16?
8.
8 and 2, right?
Yep.
Because 8 times 2 is 16, and 8 is a perfect cube of
2.
2. And good news is the x cube is automatically perfect cube of x because it is a perfect cube. This power 3, d was what 3. So what is outside this cube root of 16x cube? So 2 is outside. What else?
X.
X. So you have 2x, which is outside. And what is still remain as inside the cube root?
2.
The 2. So now what you see in this question is they all having like radicand. We all have cube root of 2, like what I told you here. Then you can add your variables. So what is 9x plus 2x?
11x.
So 11x. And then this is still remains as cube root of 2. So this is how we do question number 23A. So your answer in this case is 11x cube root of 2. Again, go to the function for the cube root. So put a 3 here and a 2 inside. Questions with 23A before we do B. Anyone? All right, let's do B here. Can someone tell me is 125 is a perfect cube or not? Is 125 a perfect cube? So if I continue right down this 1, 8, 27, 64, the next one is going to be what? 125.
25.
And 125 is a perfect cube of what?
5.
5. So this one you do not need to break it down like those 8 and 2 because it's a perfect cube of 5. So you can break it up. Unfortunately, this x is a power 1. It's too small to break it down. Usually, if you're going to break it down, it has to be more than 3. So it's x to the 4, x to the 5, x to the 6, 7. Then you can break it down. But unfortunately, this is too small to break it down. So it remains inside the cube root. So for this, question 23b, the cube root of 125x, 5 is the one that is outside the cube root. X is the one that remains inside. You guys all right? Now we do the same thing on this one. Is 64 a perfect cube? Looks like 64 is a perfect cube of 4. Oh, I make a mistake. This question is not x3. I think it's x4, right? I wrote down the wrong. So this one is a perfect cube of 4. Now we need to break down your x4. So x4, the highest power that is close to x4 is x cubed. And 3 plus 1 will give us 4. So this will how we break down the x4 to the cube root is 1 is 3, 1 is 1. And then this x cube is a perfect cube of x. So what is outside this cube root is 4x. And what is still remain inside there is a cube root of x. You still have a cube root of x inside this. Now, so how do we subtract this? Unfortunately, the good news is the cube root of, they have a like radicand. They all both have cube root of x, but you cannot subtract 5 from 4x. It's because they doesn't have an x variable. They are not like terms. So in your online home, usually in my test or in my class, you just leave your answer like this. But in your online homework, they just combine these two together. So it becomes 5 minus 4x. And then you still have a cube root of x. So what you do is you just kind of factor, they call it, you factor the cube of x out. So you just left with 5 minus 4x. So usually in your test, you just type this, you just write your answer like this, I'm still okay. I don't know about your online homework, so I'm going to do that. 5 minus 4x to the cube root of x. Where's my function? There you go. Cube root of x. Questions you guys have? Anyone have any questions? So this is P2. Anyone have any questions on P2 for me? All right, so we're gonna go back to P1. So is that Philip or someone else mentioned P1?
Yeah.
What question?
It's gonna be a 21.
21. Distance. So in order for you to find the distance between two numbers, you subtract it, right? So for example, is how you find the distance for 20, how you find the distance for number 20. Philip, do you know how to find the distance between negative 20?
So I just like, so I made the into a so you have to add the opposites again.
So the formula is you take b minus a, right?
Yeah, b minus a.
And so you take 50 minus negative 20, right?
Yep.
So that's why you get 70, right? Because these two negative become positive, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you do the same thing on question number 21. So you subtract them. So it's negative 17 over 5. This is your b. Minus my a, which is negative 1 over 5. Same thing like last time, these two negative will become positive. And the good news is when you add fractions, you have the same denominator, so you do not need to find LCD in this case. So your denominator is 5, so you just need to take negative 17 plus 1, which give you what?
Negative 16.
Over 5. And that's your answer.
Oh, okay.
So this is negative 16 over 5. You all right?
Yeah.
Now we're gonna go on to P. Oh, what happens? Did they give us a? What happens here? What's going on? No, this is correct. Yeah. What do you want then? So weird. So if you got like sometimes the answer is correct. I don't know what happenings here. So I'm gonna see what is 16. No, this is I'm gonna use my calculator and see if they 16 over 5, 3.2. So I'm gonna put negative 3.2 here and see what's going on. So in the future, if you have if you got like this, you know it's right, but they mark you wrong. Just let me know. Still wrong. Should I don't know why. Should be right here. So if you like this, if you have any questions, then this is supposed to be negative 16 over 5. I do not know what's going on. This is the right answer. So you just need, if you have any question, just ask the teacher. And if the answer is correct, but they still mark you wrong, I will give you back the point. Like this one should be negative 16 over 5. I don't know why. Wait a minute. Let me see if I put 70 here. Is this correct? I think that is wrong. Yeah, I think this is wrong. Oh, this is correct. Okay. This is weird. So yep. The answer should be correct. So I don't know why it marked me wrong. So again, class, if you have such case where you know the answer is correct, you can always ask the teacher here, say what's happening here, why my answer is why my answer is wrong. And if I look at it, if it's correct, I will give you back the point. So Philip, you got this?
Yep.
Did they mark you wrong too on your case?
Yeah.
Okay, so send me an email about it and I will give you back the point. I do not know why.
Okay.
Let me see what happens to this if I practice another version. 16.5, it cannot be reduced. This one will be negative 18 over 8. So negative 18 over 8 can be reduced by 2. So it's negative 9 over 4. Still doesn't know why it might be wrong. Sure. No negative.
I think the answer is supposed to be positive. Because for my 21, I had.
Oh, yes. I forgot. When you measure the distance is always in positive. I am so sorry. Yes. Distance, as you guys know, that distance is always measured in positive. So once you get your answer, you have to take the absolute value of it. Like, what is the distance from here to Des Moines? Let's say it's 400 miles. You don't say it's negative 400 miles because it goes south. So yeah, I totally forget about that. So your distance is always measured positive. Yep. Totally forget about that one. You guys all right here? This is correct now. Yep. So make sure you understand the distance here is always measured in positive. So if you guys got a negative answer, you take an absolute value of it. You guys all right?
Yep.
Okay. Now P3. Anyone have any questions on P3? Anyone have any questions? I'm sorry?
For me, for P3, I have 12, 27, 29, and 33.
Wait. 12, 27, 29, and what?
33.
33. Yep. Anyone to add on the list for P3? All right, let's look at 12 here. Again, mostly this one, and then I will go over some questions on P4 to P6. These are all brackets and parentheses. Excuse me. You find out that I wrote a Z with a line underneath it to distinguish between the Z and the 2 that I have. So so that's why I put a little line underneath the Z. So the first thing what we do here is you have to kind of like simplify this expression. So what you do here is, because this is a -1 here, so we start with the inside the parentheses. So you have to distribute this -1 first. So the rest is the same. So you still have the 3Z. And then when you distribute -1, you get -10Z here. And then you get a -2 here. And then we combine like terms. So this one will become -7Z, because 3 minus 10 is -7 minus 2. And then you still have the 5Z and a negative sign in the front, like this. So this is all the same. I just rewrite this. What we do next here is, yes, there is a 1 inside here. So if you don't see it, there is a 1 in here. And again, this one has to be distributed to inside your bracket here. So what you have in this case is 5Z. Negative times negative become positive 7Z. And then negative times negative is a positive 2. And then you add these 2 up. So your answer will be 12Z plus 2. So this is how we do question number 12. Your final answer in this case is 12Z plus 2. And I just want to point out to you guys that your online homework is very, very picky, because if this Z is a lowercase, make sure you use the Z as a lowercase. If your Z is an uppercase, make sure you use uppercase because they are very case sensitive. So if you like your password, so if you forget, if you put a capital Z here, they will mark you wrong. Okay. Okay with question 12? The next, this mostly is for this section is mostly about foiling, so make sure you guys know how to foil. 27 is this one. Yep. So this is 4x minus y to the power of 3. So what is meaning when I say it's a power of 3? That means this one is multiplied 3 times, or you duplicate 3 times. So you take 4x minus y times 4x minus y times 4x minus y. So now what you need to do is you have to FOIL this one first. And then whatever answer you get here, you simplify and then you do it one more time with another 4x minus y. So you actually have to FOIL twice in this case. So let's FOIL the first one first. So 4x times 4x, you will get 16x squared. And then 4x times negative y, you get negative 4xy. Negative y times 4x, you also get negative 4xy. And then negative y times negative y is a positive y squared. So this is the foiling of the first 4x minus y with 4x minus y. And then you find out the middle term here are like terms, so you can combine them. So 16x squared minus 8xy plus y squared. And then what you do now is you take this that you FOIL, you have to FOIL it again with 4x minus y. So actually you have to FOIL this 2 times. So how do you FOIL such thing is very easy. You take the first one, multiply by 4x minus y, and then you take the negative 8xy and do the same thing, and then y squared. So I take this and FOIL to that. So 16 times 4, what is 16 times 4? 64, so you will get 64 x cubed, because x squared times x is x cubed. And then I multiply 16x squared with a negative y, so I get negative 16x squared y. So this is taking this and distribute to 4xy. Now what I do here now is I'll take the negative 8xy and do the same thing. So negative 8 times 4 is negative 32. X times x is x squared with a y. And then I take negative 8xy with a negative y. So 2 negative will become positive 8xy squared, because 2 y's become y squared. And then lastly, I will take the y squared and distribute to this case. So this will become 4xy squared minus y cubed. So this is what happens when you FOIL such thing, is because this is a 3 terms, this is a 2 terms. So when you multiply 3 and 2, you should get 6 terms. So when you look at this, we should have 6 terms, 2, 4, 6. So that is a correct way to FOIL. So this is usually how I told my students how many terms you get is you're looking at how many terms you have before you FOIL. This is 3, this is 2, you multiply them, you get 6. So you get 6 terms. And now you combine like terms. So 64x cubed is no like terms to combine. This 2 is like, they are like terms because they have x squared y, we can combine them. So negative 16 minus 32, that means 16 plus, what is 16 plus 32? 48, so this is negative 48 x squared y. And then these 2 terms is also like terms. So 8 plus 4 is 12 xy squared, and then minus y cubed. So this is your answer for question 27. Some of you asked me, do we have a shortcut to do this question number 27? I say yes, there is a shortcut to do it, but you are not in that level yet. In order for you to learn the shortcut, you have to take trigonometry. So right now, I will not show you the shortcut to do question number 27, but I will recommend you to FOIL, okay? So your answer is one long answer here. So this is the answer for 27.
So
Anyone have
what?
any?
Yeah, 64x cube. You know.
I'm sorry, Munira.
Yeah, x cube. Where it come that one? 64x cube. The first one is 16x squared, huh?
X cube, yeah, the first one is 64x cube, yes.
Yeah. No,
And then
I mean, how did you get 3? You know, it was 2, huh? The top one, 16x squared. That you need to
this is square, and then you multiply it with the 4x.
Okay.
So the x squared and the x1, that will give you x cubed. And then
Yeah.
16 times 4 is 64.
Okay. Okay.
So that's how I get the 64x cubed, by multiplying these two. Some of you who like to multiply using, I don't know, do you learn this in your high school like this? Like you put 16x squared minus 8xy and y squared with 4x minus y. Do you guys do this in your high school?
No.
No? Okay, if you do this in high school, it's fine. And then what you do is you multiply them. So this two you multiply, you will get 64x cubed. This two you multiply, you get negative 32x squared y. And then this two you multiply, you get 4xy squared. And then you multiply these two, you will get negative 16x squared y. This one you will get 8xy squared. And then this becomes negative y cubed. And then you notice that the one that go horizontal like this, these are like terms. So this one will give you the 48x squared. And then if you go, this one is also like term. That will give you 12xy squared. And then this is the 64x cubed, and then this is the negative y cubed. So you can do it this way too if you want to. I'm fine as long, there are a lot of ways to do avoiding like this, but as long as your answer is correct, I will still take it. Same thing in your test. Questions? Okay. Next, we'll do 29. So I think I have to do 29 here. So question 29 is asking us for x plus 1 minus y, the whole thing square. Okay, this is 29. So like last time when I say cube, you do this 3 times. This is square, so for square, you just need to do it twice. So you just copy, like duplicate it 2 times. Okay. So what you need to do here is you multiply it. So this parenthesis that you see here is redundant. Redundant means you can ignore it, so you can erase this. So can someone tell me how many terms do you see here? So for the first bracket, how many terms do you have? This is a 3 terms. And how many terms you have here? Also 3, right? So when you multiply this, you should have 9 terms. So we're gonna multiply this very, again, you need to know how to do this. This is important. So x multiplied by all these things. So x times x will give us x squared. X times 1 will give us just x. And then x with negative y, you get xy, negative xy. So this is multiplying x with that. And then you take the 1 and do the same thing. So 1 times x is x. 1 times 1 is 1. 1 times negative y is negative y. So now you got 6 terms. And the last one you do is you take negative y and multiply to it. So you got negative xy. Negative y times 1 is a negative y. And negative y times negative y is a positive y squared. So you should have 9 terms here. And now we will we combine like terms. So x squared, there's no like terms to combine. X, we have these 2. So when you add this up, you will get 2x. Xy, we also have 2. This is a 2, so it becomes negative 2xy. 1 is still 1. There's no like terms to combine 1. Negative y and a negative y can be combined to become negative 2y. And then y squared is still y squared, no nothing to combine. So this is your answer for question number 29. It's long. Okay. Do we have a shortcut to do this? Yes, we do. And again, I'm not teaching it. I really highly recommend you to do it this way because a lot of people, students try to use a shortcut in the test. They end up doing it wrong. What do I mean here is this example. This is a famous example that a lot of students did wrong here. Can someone tell me what is your answer for this case? X minus 2 squared. Anyone know what's the answer here? Before I continue with 33. Anyone know how to do question? This is the one that I will ask in the test, and a lot of you will get it wrong. Anyone? Philip, Sinor, Muhammad, Munira, anyone? Muhammad?
X squared minus 4.
Okay, so this is the typical students make this mistake is they square the x squared, and they square the 2, which is 4. This is wrong. Okay, so do not do this in your test, and do not do this when you go to college algebra or trig or calculus because it's wrong. So what is the safe way to do this? FOIL it. Because square means you duplicate it twice, right? So what happens when you FOIL this? It's not this one. You get x times x is x squared. What else? Negative 2x. And then you also got a negative 2x. And you get a positive 4. So x squared minus 4x plus 4. This is correct. This is wrong. So that's why I want to point out to you guys that when you see like square and when you see like cube, I want you to expand it and then FOIL it out like that. Because chances of you making, I know it's a bit long work, but chance of you making mistake here is very slim. But if you want to take the shortcut, chance of you making mistakes is really high. So please watch out for this. Okay, this is something that I really suggest. Until you reach to calculus level, then yes, then you will use your shortcut. But right now, you're still in the beginning part, so I would not want you guys to do that. Okay. Same thing happens with question number 33. So is x plus square of 6 square. So again, don't use a shortcut. So the square here means that you just need to duplicate this twice. And FOIL this one out. So x times x will give us x squared. Now, how do you multiply x with a square root of 6? Does anyone know what is x times square root of 6 is? Anyone? So when you take x times square, can you be square root of 6x? Is this correct? when you multiply these two, this is wrong. Okay, because this is outside and this is inside the square root, you cannot combine it. So when you multiply x with square root of 6, you still get x square root of 6. Okay. Same thing happens in the middle. So root 6 times x, you still get x square root of 6. And the last one we're going to do is root 6 times root 6. Does anyone here know what happens when you take root 6 times root 6? Anyone? This is the same thing as root 6 square, because when you do root 6 times root 6 is root square. And what happens to the square root and the square? They will cancel out. So actually this will get just 6. Okay, so when you multiply the same thing, root a times with root a, you just get a back. Okay, so make sure you guys know this is pretty much important here. Again, as usual, when you guys FOIL, the two middle term here are like terms. You can combine it. So you have x squared plus, this is 1, this is 1. So when you add 1 and 1, you get 2. X squared 6 plus 6. So this is how we do question number 33, and these are not like terms, so don't add these two because they are not like terms. None of these are like terms that can be combined. So this is your answer in this case. You guys all right with question 33 here? Anyone have any questions on P3 beside these questions that do you guys know how to do 34, the word problem? So this is what happens in 34 is you got an opening box, and this opening box is taking 18 and by 26 centimeter, and they cut x centimeter out from the box, and they will fold it to become like this. The reason why this is 18 minus 2x is because this whole thing is 18. And you take two x's out, one from the top and one from the bottom. So that's why this is 18 minus 2x. And this is 26 minus 2x is because you take one from the left and one from the right. So that two x's on the both side here. So that's why you 26 minus 2x. So question A is asking us to find the volume of this box. The formula to find a volume of an open box is length times width times height. So that means you have to take your length, your width, and your height and multiply them. So it'll be 26 minus 2x times with 18 minus 2x, and then times with x. Because you take 26 minus 2x, 18 minus and x. So what you need to do first here is you have to FOIL this fellow out. All right, take out your calculator and you have to FOIL this out for me. So everyone here, please do this. FOIL this one first. Go and FOIL it out. Go ahead and FOIL it out. (26) times 18. So this times this is 468. You need a calculator because this number is huge. Yep, FOIL it out. Munira, Muhammad.
Yeah.
Yep. Can you FOIL this one out?
Yeah, said we have to multiply.
Yeah, you have to
Yeah.
multiply. Yes, that's the meaning of foiling. You multiply. This is all multiplication here. Philip? See
Yeah,
now?
I'm really foiling it right now.
Okay, good. You guys are quiet. And when you go to college algebra, you'll be doing this a lot of time. All this foiling that I'm teaching.
26 times 18 is 468, and 26 times 2 is 52.
So 52x
What is that number? I can see next
is
to
2x and 18. Which one? 26 minus 2x and 18 minus 2x. Which is these two numbers.
what is the last
X, that's an
letter?
X, which is X. This is an X. Which is the height.
And 2 times 18 is 36.
Yep, so it's negative 36x.
And 2 times 2 is 4.
So it's
Negative.
positive
Opposite 4.
4x squared, right?
Yeah.
And then the middle term, you can combine them. So I'm going to put 4x squared first because that's the standard form. You put the highest power first. What is this when you combine them? Negative.
You mean
Negative,
when you add them, right? Or yeah.
negative 88x.
Negative 88x.
8, yeah.
And then plus 468, right?
46. Yeah.
And then after that, you have to multiply this with what? With an x. Because you still remember that you just only foiling the first two. So this is easy now. You just distribute your x inside to this. So you will get 4x cubed minus 88x squared plus 468x. So this is the answer for question for this question A. For question B, you just take this formula and replace x to become 4. So you just need to plug 4 inside here and figure out what is that number answer is. And then after that, you change this 4 to become 5 and then 6. And you'll get your answer. So that's for part B. So you just need to change your x to become 4 and then 5 and then 6 and you get your answer. This is mostly based your calculator work. So make sure you know how to use your calculator to do this. This is not that difficult. The most difficult is getting this answer for the part A first. But once you get the part A, then the part B is pretty much easy. Questions? Anyone? Now, so this is your homework due tonight, which is P1, P2, P3. So we will start talking about P4 right now, which is very, very important. So you guys learn how to FOIL in P3, right? Which is multiplying. So what is factoring is? Factoring is actually, this is P4 that we will talk about here, is the opposite of foiling. So last time when I call you, okay, I want you to find x minus 2 and x minus 2. This is what we just did just now. And you FOIL it out, you get x squared minus 4x plus 4. This is the foiling for that. So this is what you guys did in P3. We call it foiling. But then when you go backwards, this is what you will learn in P4. We call that as factor. So this is how we're going to factor. So very important. So please pay attention here. Okay. So when you factor, So you have to figure out, first thing when you do factor here is you have to figure out what is the greatest common factor, the GCF, okay? This is the first thing you need to do is to find the greatest common factor. For example, is if I give you 4x squared, 8x, and 6. Can someone tell me what is your GCF here? What number can goes into 4, 8, and 6?
2.
2. And for the variable piece, you always pick the smallest power. So x squared, x, and no x. Which one is the smallest power in this case?
No x.
No x, you're correct. So your GCF in this case is 2. So this is always the first thing you do when you do factoring is to find GCF. So if this question become 4x squared plus 8x minus 6, so what you need to do here is you take out the GCF, in this case is 2. And then whatever remaining, so you divide them. So 4 divided by 2 is 2, so you get 2x squared. And then 8 divided by 2 is 4x, and then 6 and 2 will get 3. So this is how we factor what we call as your GCF. That is always the first thing you do when you factor, is to find the GCF first. Now, sometimes when you factor, not all the polynomials can be factored. So if a polynomial does not factor, we call that as prime. Okay, so sometimes if you cannot factor it, it's called as prime. And don't forget, a GCF is considered factor. So this is not prime. Okay, a lot of people say this is prime. No. Example for prime is like x squared minus 8x plus 1. This is prime because it cannot be factored. Okay, so you cannot take the GCF out and so on. Okay, so once you find the GCF, that is the first step. The second step is to do the count how many terms you have. So if you have 2 terms, which is like this, 4x squared minus 9, this is called as a conjugate pairs, difference of 2 squares, because these are perfect squares. So 4x squared is a perfect square of 2x, and 9 is a perfect square of 3. So you take 2x minus 3 and 2x plus 3. This is a factor. This is what happens when you have 2 terms. You guys with me here? Okay. Can you check your answer? Yes. In order for you to check if your answer is correct, you just FOIL it out. Because when you FOIL it out, you should end up with 4x squared minus 9. So I'm going to call you guys to do some work here because there's some factoring for that 2 terms. We start with a very basic factoring first, 2 terms. Then you guys need to know how to do the most. After that, we go to the difficult part. And factoring is a very, very important section because if you cannot do factoring, you don't say goodbye to the rest of the rest of the sections and your college algebra. Okay. So like this question, they ask you to find the common factor, factor out the common factor. So can someone tell me what is the GCF in this case? What number can divide 6 and 18?
6.
And what is the lowest x power we have?
X.
X. So there is a common factor, 6x. And then you put a parenthesis. So what happens when you have 6x cubed, you take 6x out. So what is the leftover you have?
Would it be x squared?
Yep. Because 6x times x squared, you get 6x cubed. And then you have the minus sign, don't forget the minus sign. And then 6x and 18x, 6x times what become 18x? 6x times
3.
So this is how you do the factor of the common factor, like what we just did, the first example, like this one, the 4x, the one that I just did here. This is what they want you to do on this kind of question. Okay, go ahead and try. I'll do question 4. Okay. Question 4 is tricky. Why is tricky? Because it's fraction. Okay, so pay attention when we do question 4 here. So so when you do this question, if you see a fraction, that fraction will be your GCF, the one that you have to factor out. Okay, let me repeat. If you see a fraction, that fraction is a GCF that you have to take it out. And the smallest power in this case is y. So this is your common factor, 1/6y. So now what you do here, when you take out 1/6y from a 1/6y4, you will end up with a y cubed, because this multiply will give you y4. Now this is the tricky part, okay? So in order for us to take 1/6 out from 8, what number should we do it here is we multiply. So what you multiply is you multiply 6, the denominator of this, with 8 here, the number 8. So 6 times 8 is 48 with a y. So if you factor a fraction out like this is how you figure out the number here is you take the denominator and the number that you have, you multiply. And if this is a 4 or 3 or 5, then you divide with this number because it's 1, so we do not have to worry about it. Can someone tell me what is the number that you have to put in for the last case here? What times what? Anyone?
3 times 6.
Yep, because it's 3 and 6. So 3 times 6 is what?
18.
18. And the y will disappear. So this is the factor for question number 4. And this is how you do when you have a fraction involved. You guys all right here?
Yep.
Okay. Now this question is calling us to factor this with difference of 2 squares. So a difference of 2 square means is perfect square, like the one we just did just now, 4x squared minus 9. And the factor is 2x minus 3 and 2x plus 3. But if you look at question number 5, none of these numbers are perfect square because 24 is not a perfect square, 25 is. 54 is not a perfect square. So a lot of students say, oh, because last time 4 and 9 are perfect square, this one, a lot of students say is prime. Because 54 and 24 is not perfect square, that is wrong. The reason why is because you still need to factor out your common factor first. So can someone tell me what number can you factor out between 24 and 54? What number can you factor this one out?
6.
6. So what happens when you factor 6 out? What do you get?
We got 4 and 9.
Okay. So in this case, you can factor out 6. And the smallest variable is z. No z, because there's no z here. So in this case, you will get 4 minus 9z squared. Okay. Now, if you look at your parentheses here, the 4 and the 9z squared, are they perfect square? They are perfect square. So what is the factor for this case? 4 is a perfect square of what?
2.
2. And 9z squared is 3z. And one of them is minus, and one of them is plus. And then you drop the 6 down. So this is your answer for question number 5. What I also figured out, a lot of students make mistake here was like, oh, David, I want you, usually as you say, you always write the standard form, the highest power first. So a lot of students will write this as 3z minus 2 and 3z plus 2 because, you know, they switch them around. This is wrong. Okay, so don't forget, if the 4 come first, then make sure is the perfect square is 2 was the first one. If the 4x squared come first, then 2x is the one. So do not simply switch them around to the 3z here like this. The reason why is because it follow the procedure. Because 2 minus 3 is not the same thing as 3 minus 2. So that's the reason why that this whole, the plus one is all right, but the minus one is a problem. You guys with me here? You guys okay?
Yep.
Question 6. So question 6 is actually easy. It looks tough, but actually is easy because this is a perfect square. This is also a perfect square. What is a perfect square of x minus 1 square? It's x minus 1. And what is a perfect square for 4? It is 2. So as you guys know that in order for you to do this is a minus b and a plus b. So a minus b and a plus b. So this is how you factor question number 6. You just take this minus 2 and this plus 2. But make sure you simplify this one because the number you can subtract them. So this is negative 3 here. And this is a positive 1. And this is your answer. Please do not FOIL this one out because you're doing the wrong thing. So factoring is the opposite of foiling. So please don't FOIL it out because when you FOIL it out, you get the total different answer and that's wrong. So this is how we do question 6. You guys all right here? Any question for me? All right, next is 7. This is getting very tough. So 256 U4 minus 1. So in order for us to do this is the last question. Make sure you guys read and watch my old videos because I do have some old videos for P4, P5, and P6. P5 is a killing section, so make sure you be careful with this. So is 256 a perfect square? So what do you do is, I do not know. I don't know, a lot of people don't know. So what you do is you take the square root of 256 and see if it come up to be nice number or not. So let's do it. So 256 square root of it. So it's actually 16. So actually this is a perfect square. So 256 is a perfect square of 16. U4 is a perfect square of U2. Because 4 is divided by 2. 1 is a perfect square of 1. So this one is 16u squared minus 1 and 16u squared plus 1 because one of them is a conjugate. One is minus, one is plus, exactly the same. And then like last time, you just, okay, I'm done. This is your answer. This is wrong. Okay, I just want to point to you, watch out for this in your test because the reason why that this is wrong is because the 16u squared minus 1, this can be factored some more. So in the test, usually this kind of question will come up because this is perfect square. So what is perfect square for 16u squared? 16 is a perfect square of what?
4.
4, and then u squared is u. 1 is 1. So one of them is minus, one of them is plus. Unfortunately, this friend of yours, the 16u squared plus 1, cannot be factored because it's prime. So when you guys want to do using this formula, make sure that the sign in the middle has to be minus. Okay, the sign in the middle has to be minus. What happens if your sign in the middle is plus? For example, what happens when you get 4x squared plus 9? Your answer is not 2x plus 3 and 2x plus 3. This is wrong. Okay, this is wrong. This is actually is prime, means that you cannot factor it. So that's the reason why when you do the 16u squared plus 1, this is actually is prime because of the plus symbol. So you cannot factor here. So this is how you factor two terms. So make sure you guys know how, this is the answer for question 7 here. So in the test, this is what I'm looking for, not this one. You will lose 1 point if you leave your answer like that. Okay. So so I just want to point out to you guys that please watch the video. And where's the video here is given here. So if you go to your D2L, it's on here. This is the P4. This is P5 part 1 and part 2. As I told you, P5 is very difficult. That's why I put it in 2 parts. And then P6 is the easiest of all. So if you guys are frustrated with P5, I would recommend you to do P6 first because that is the easiest of all. Okay. So these are your homework that is due on next Wednesday, the 27th. And don't forget you have a test, your midterm test on the 28th, on Thursday, the 28th, and they cover P1 to P6. And there is no formulas given to you. So make sure you guys know some formulas. P6 has a couple formulas you need to know. Okay. All right, anyone have any questions for me before I stop here? Anyone have any questions?